Alright, it's time to rescue the Starship Phoenix from, the attack from Nefarious, to get the data disk, as you say, Libs.
And to save
Yes,
Ratchet's
that is the right way
girlfriend,
to
which
say it.
apparently Sasha is now. No, I want to make it clear. I don't mind the relationship between Ratchet and Sasha.
rushed,
It's
yes.
cute. It's just that, yes, it is very rushed in the game that it debuted in.
Again, you can tell it's, it's still about, space opera with a comedy, theme to it. So they clearly do not want it to be too much serious, But yeah, it still feels something that they could elaborate a bit. I mean, it's super telegraphed, of course, right from the very beginning, but still.
I've always felt like, even if you're opting to be like a parody or comedic version, that doesn't mean you should always super rush things. Like, look at Spaceballs, essentially. It technically goes the whole 9 yards, even if it is blatantly parroting Star Wars.
And yeah, because the situation is that serious, even the transport that you normally took in order to get to the bridge is broken. Again, it's kind of neat. This is something that I only seen done majorly when it comes to the thing that you use as the hub then gets properly attacked, and you have to use the same corridor you've been using all this time in order to escape. The only major thing that I remember doing something similar to that would be Mass Effect 2.
I feel like there's another. I feel like there are other games, but I can't put my finger on their names at the time. It'll probably come to me.
The closest I can imagine might be, another, not closest, but something similar to that I can think of would be, I forgot its name, Kirby Return to Dreamland, where the airship that you spend the entire fucking game to build, ends up being part of a final boss. Because, fuck you.
Crashed Insanity does...
Why did people, were so willing to forgive Magolor? I still don't understand that.
Because Kirby's a friend to everyone, and I don't think Kirby understands...
I mean the fandom.
Oh. Well, you see, in the fandom's eye, if Kirby deems they're good, they must be good, because Kirby knows all.
Of course. He's, the preacher of our Lord and Savior, after all.
Second only to Lord Helix. But, Crash Insanity did something similar. It technically was not the old hub world, but you do get, like, certain hubs in that game.
Oh, that is more like nostalgia trip, more than anything. I'm talking in the same game, No.
I mean, it's like, well, Twinsanity Island, the evil version of Cortex's lair when you go to the 10th dimension.
I mean, if you want to count that, it's barely something that you witness from the outside, and in the inside is so significantly different that it might as well be it's completely different thing to begin with.
Cortex's lair definitely relies more on the music for that section to showcase how messed up it is, but Twinsanity Island and Rockslide Rumble definitely show how this is a more twisted version. Although Rockslide Rumble wouldn't count because that's an actual full-on level. Alright. Got the mini turret glove upgraded.
Yeah, I'm trying to use, level up weapons, equally, roughly as, the game goes on. As you can see,
even in our darkest hour, capitalism will survive.
Probably. Alright. Oh.
You certainly took your sweet time.
Hey, it's good to see you too. Everyone okay?
We're fine. You made it just in time.
Barely made it.
Any luck with the data disk?
Apparently, I'm the only one who knows how to shoot a gun here.
Al cracked the encryption. The disk contains a complete copy of Nefarious' battle plan. He's going to attack planet after planet, leaving nothing but robots in his wake. The Biobliterator is so well protected, Nefarious doesn't believe we can stop it.
Can we?
I estimate our odds at approximately 1 in 63 million, give or take.
Hey,
never tell me the odds.
Basically.
Well, not so bad.
The Biobliterator is programmed to recharge its power cells after each attack.
It's recharging at a base on planet Koros right now. And Ratchet?
Of course it is.
Always Velden.
It's literally
And you know
it's
Ratchet
literally
don't
a
like
space
when you
dust
mess
rock.
with...
The thing that I absolutely love is that, you know, even when it's mentioned in other appearances, every single character mentioned that Veldin doesn't really have any special about it, you know.
Well, yeah, is it meant to be the Tatooine of the Ratchet
The
series
thing is
anyway?
that, Pedro, in both types of expanded universe,
Look, there
Tatooine
it
is
is.
obviously
How are we supposed to
told
take
more
it
and more
out?
again, time
I
and
think
time
it's
again
gonna even
how
put a dent in
secretly
that
special it is,
Then we will need
basically.
a bigger gun.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Where are we gonna get that kind of firepower?
Found it.
So yeah, we're gonna use the equivalent of a BFG
Yeah.
10,000 from
How to
Doom
do it?
Eternal to
If you can
blast the
get me
fucking
inside the
thing.
command center,
I approve
can
this plan.
override the targeting system and take control of that ion cannon.
Let's go.
Smart, and it's awesome.
Hey, pal.
Ooh, the plasma coin. Yeah, yes, in the meantime, I got the bouncer.
Mint condition. Still
Beautiful.
alive. See you soon.
I still need to be leveled from level 1, but I don't care. Still love that weapon.
You know, I've always liked the subtle but obvious rage with Veldin. Like, yes, it's obvious why Ratchet would be concerned whenever it's threatened, but for a guy who loves his home world much, he really does not spend much time there, ironically.
No, Drova, you know what we need? We need
He's a busy man, Joe.
Yes, dear?
You know what we need, Jova, to make you understand that truly? We need to have Ratchet to have a very pointless Obi-Wan mentor figure that really doesn't do anything other than to be there to be the wise mentor equivalent.
Mm-hmm.
In case you're wondering if that's what the 2016 movie does.
Look, I want to be fair to the... Well, oh, okay. It's hard for me to
I barely even
honestly...
remember the plot for that one.
It's honestly
Yeah.
hard for me to consider what's truly the base for the 2016 project, the game or the movie. I think it's more
The
so
movie.
the movie since
The
they
game
use
uses
cutscenes
that as a
from it.
basis to make you replay the first game in an abridged format, just with a few changes that I need to follow the plot of the movie, including, for example, how the final boss fights are handled.
Which, to me, I kind of chalk up to them just being too lazy to make cutscenes, because it really becomes obvious that the 2016 thing could have been its own thing, but gotta get that tie-in synergy. But, okay. I get what the 2016 project was trying to go for, you know. Remaking, they called it remake at the time, but now it's really just reimagining since that ain't canon, thank God. But they wanted to essentially reimagine the original Ratchet and Clank plot, but enhanced. The problem was they fell into a lot of traps that series that have had a long time to redo the first game fall into. They added certain elements which felt like just nostalgia baiting. They added, you know, that character who's from later in the series to, oh, turns out he was there all along in Ratchet 1, essentially. You know which one I'm talking about, right, here.
Well, I put
It's
it
like-
this way, Drova. Okay, going back to the whole mentor thing, if TJ Fixman had still been the writer, he never, as far as I know, he never really disclosed what his original plot was. But if I can speculate, I get an idea that the mentor figure would have still been present, but it would have been a much different character, which I will not spoil right now, because, you know, it's someone who is not even shown but mentioned in A Crack in Time, and I think, you know, it probably would have made sense for that to be present for a reimagining of the story of the first game. But again, I'm not telling right now, only when it will become relevant, especially because we're far away from doing the movie.
I definitely could have seen them doing an Obi-Wan thing, because Ratchet and Clank definitely... Well, okay, when you're doing a space opera parody, 9 times out of 10 you're going to include a Star Wars analogy, so yeah.
Well, I get
And
that,
Ratchet-
Drova, like, the whole thing just piles on to the Ratchet's new characterization, which both me and Pedro has mentioned multiple times, really feels superfluous, you know, when put in the first at the beginning of his story.
It's their way of trying to sanitize Ratchet's image, I feel, which I've said before, I feel was very unnecessary, since it tries to wipe the slate a little too clean. Was the first game's story perfect? No, but it did not need to suddenly have all the flavor removed, just because it may have rubbed some people the wrong way. Like, the obvious thing to do would be to improve on the development, not remove
But
it.
Jova, if there's one thing Sega and Sonic Team taught me is that the solution to Sonic 06 being a failure was not to fix it, but instead to remove everything that made the Sonic series interesting, bit by bit.
I am so glad we seem to be moving out of that era of them going, let's remove the baby with the bathwater at long last. But yes, no, that was a problem that plagued us a ton after 06. But bringing it back to Ratchet 2016, I can believe it was ambitious. I do believe a lot of that ambition was pointed in the wrong direction. Granted, some of that may have been the studio bigwigs' mandates to what the makers of the film and game had to do.
Anyway, yes, when getting to level 5, the Quacko Blitzer transforms the first enemy that you transform into a hellish duck with teeth that basically, veers into the enemy to explode on contact.
Well, Tail, as Layton's Mystery Journey would say, level 5 is the best level to be in.
Of course.
So, it can occasionally even kamikaze itself, too, for extra carnage.
Jesus Christ, look at that.
That's the major thing. The big problem, Jova, is that a lot of times, if there's one thing I've learned over the years, is that developers, and not even just developers, like even filmmakers, writers in general, they really only seem to think in extremes. What's this? People thought my character is an asshole? I'll make him a completely boring goody two-shoes. What's that? People didn't like my super duper cartoony art style that looks silly. Fine, here's bleak realism. They seem to only be able to think in extremes. And
what
like,
was the software thinking with Bomberman X-Zero? I wonder.
Well, okay, the time with Bomberman X-Zero, that was them getting in on the trend of, we can't make this too kiddie, it's gotta be grown up and adult,
For the 360 audience, yo.
Yeah.
I will say this. One thing I also don't like is when companies will say, well, we made this challenge or this change to make it more marketable to kids. There's an interview with Walt Disney I always like to look back to where he's with this British interviewer and he asks, well, aren't you a bit concerned that, well, the children might be a bit scared by this? And Walt says, oh, no. We don't market it to the children, we market it to the adults. The kids aren't paying for it.
It's frustrating because it's like these people don't understand the concept of nuance,
The problem is also the whole thing about marketability and what executives or shareholders these days want, and because a lot of market trends are regulated by similar to the stock market to some level of artificial intelligence. There's basically a general concept that content creator will probably never ever fully manage to realize what they truly want because there's always be some level of meddling. And I don't mean people saying no in an occasion because that's an actual person. I'm talking about an executive that instead applies a change because they think something is more appealing to an audience rather than saying that an idea is bad. If you get what I mean.
Most times, a lot of problems in development can be chalked up to a business exec made a dumb decision. But to give the business side credit, there is a business side to these things for a reason. There are some times when the creative side will make a dumb decision that does not resonate with the fans because, well, that's just what they wanted to do. And I know what some may say. Shouldn't a creator's creation truly get to be fully their own? Yes, that can be the case, but at the same time, the customer is not obligated to like or pay for that. Like, for example, let's say that, let's say that Sonic Team at some point wanted to make it that, oh, Sonic's no longer a hedgehog, he's a chicken. For whatever reason, they have decided that this will be
feeling
their
random
mission
today.
For a creative one.
Sonic the Chicken.
Yes.
It's like, yes, I get it. Maybe you wanted to do it, but it doesn't mean that the fans are necessarily going to like that.
Agent Clank! What's going on here?
After all those hollow films, there is one thing you should know by now.
I kind of like
Do
when it's
not
Clank
mess
with this to do
with
it.
Agent Clank.
Boom!
Right, and we can fire the Death Star.
Literally.
And now I can destroy the world.
Nice shooting, Clank. There's
Oh, wait.
no telling how many lives you just saved. But we're not done yet.
Huh?
Al just finished decoding the data disk. Nefarious secretly constructed a second Biobliterator.
Because
A
of
new
course
one
he
even
did.
more dangerous than the one you just destroyed.
I mean,
you
to
know,
be fair,
is
that's kind of
Nefarious
listening
has a
and
master
reading a
control
bit
center
to
on
the
planet
evil
Bible.
overlord list,
We believe the
so
last
that checks out.
Biobliterator is there now.
Like, yeah,
Guarded
no,
by an
kudos
entire
to
robot
Nefarious. Even
Then
though
we
he
better get
holds the
moving.
villain ball
careful,
a
guys.
lot,
This time,
he
the
is
Elder
smarter
coming.
than you would initially presume him to
He's
be.
both goofy enough to be entertaining, but still menacing enough to be a genuine threat. Arguably more so than Chairman Drek was in the first
Yeah,
game.
that's why it's my favorite of the Ratchet and
Well,
Clank villains.
just like many, pretty much most of the fan base. Also, Jova, what I was more mentioning is less about, you know, something as specific as that is more something like, say, you know, the movie producer wants to make the sequel of an R-rated movie to be PG-13 because they think it will attract more people.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely! Like,
what happened with
absolutely,
Conan the
like,
Barbarian and RoboCop.
absolutely. Like, let me make it clear: 9 times out of 10, a lot of these problems can be chalked up to business execs making dumb decisions. I'm aware of that. I will say, though, it's always important to look at both sides
Yeah.
of the coin because
Let
there
me add to
is
Joe's
every
point.
now and then that rare point where the business exec was the one making the true point.
Yeah, let me add to Jelva's point. In fact, since I have a thing about that. Like, game developers, game writer, like movie writers, whatever you want to call them, are creative artists. Creative artists are people just like us, and just like all of us, they are also human and capable of failure, capable of falling into laziness or ego, or like, and that's why that's why there should be at the very least someone making sure they don't go nuts. You know,
Like, look at Last of Us. Bruce Straley arguably kept a lot of Druckmann's dumber ideas in check with the first Last of Us game, and well, when Bruce Straley wasn't around, we saw what happened with Last of Us 2.
exactly. All right. Sorry, go ahead, though.
See you for the next part where we technically finish the main game by confronting Nefarious and the Biobliterator. See ya.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.